Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Off the Bench podcast. My name is Robert Sellers, and tonight is once again a very special episode because we are instant reacting to Conference Championship Saturday, and I guess Friday too, because we're going to talk about some of those results. What a crazy Conference Championship weekend. I feel like this is the craziest or one of the best Conference Championship weekends that I have remembered in a long time. A lot of awesome stuff went down this day in college football. Texas Tech got their first win in the Big 12 since like forever. I don't know what the exact stat is on that, but they did a great job. An 8-5 ACC team has officially won that conference. I mean, the champion of the ACC lost to UConn. That is a real thing, and it's crazy for us to wrap our minds around, but my goodness, that is some debauchery. Alabama finally got conquered by the Georgia Bulldogs. Kirby Smart went out there, got that monkey off his back, got a resounding victory for the state of Georgia, but that might not have even been the biggest victory that the state of Georgia enjoyed this conference championship weekend, because the Kennesaw State Hootie Hoo Owls got a big time win too, their 10th win of the year, to give them a Sun Belt championship, or a Conference USA championship, my bad. So all this crazy stuff happened. And yet, the craziest thing that happened this weekend, I haven't even touched on. The Indiana Hoosiers pull it off over Ohio State. My goodness, this makes me so happy. And I try and be as least biased as I can be on this show, because I love the sport of college football more than I love any specific team. And I really just want to give an unbiased perspective on my love for this sport. But I was cheering for Indiana so much in this football game, and they pulled it off. I cannot believe it. I actually, a lot of people are shocked by this, right? A lot of people thought Ohio State was the best team in the country, and everyone picked them to win, and everyone was saying they're going to win everything, they're going to win the national championship, they're going to go undefeated. Indiana, it's poor old Indiana. I mean, come on. They don't have a chance against Ohio State. I mean, surely no one would have picked the Indiana Hoosiers to win this game. Well, there's one person who did pick Indiana to win this game, at least one person, and that person is yours truly. Now, I usually don't toot my own horn on this show because I'm wrong a lot more than I am right, but I'm just so happy. I feel like I adopted this Indiana team. From after the Oregon game, I said, you know what, Indiana? I am done being proven wrong by you. I'm going to ride with the Hoosiers until I die, and they haven't lost a game. They're undefeated. They're 13-0, and they've just won the Big Ten over Ohio State. My goodness. I mean, this is crazy. I can't tell you how many fans I have heard say this, whether it's Alabama fans or Texas A&M fans or whomever, that have said to me like constantly, I really think that Indiana is a good draw for us, man. If we get to the playoffs and we get to the second round, I want to be playing Indiana because I think we match up really well against them. Or I'm not as afraid of Indiana. I think we can beat Indiana. I mean, I've heard it so many times from so many people. I've heard a bunch of people say, there's no way Indiana is really this good. You really think Indiana's a top 3 team in college football? It's Indiana, for crying out loud. Nobody has taken this team seriously all season long. And guess what? They just beat Ohio State in the Big Ten championship. I mean, what more do you want from this team? They are so good. And this might be, in my opinion, what Curt Cignetti has done. Just put this into perspective, what Cignetti has done. When he came to Indiana, first of all, the landscape of college football has changed completely. We went from a 14 playoff to a 12-team playoff. We went from a 14-team Big Ten to an 18-team league. There was so much conference realignment. NIL was shifting. The transfer portal was shifting. So many things were changing in the sport when Curt Cignetti came to Indiana. And the program of the Indiana Hoosiers, football-wise, was awful. They've been awful for so long. Before Cignetti got there, they had the most losses out of any team ever. Like, Indiana was never a good football program. And Cignetti got there. And within his first year, he took his team to an 11-1 record and an appearance in the first college football playoff, that it was 12 teams. And in his second year has gone 13-0 and won the Big Ten, which Indiana hasn't done since 1967. Indiana hasn't beaten Ohio State since 1988. And they used to play every single year. That's 30 wins in a row that Ohio State had over Indiana before Cignetti got there, and Curt pulled it off. This is, in my opinion, the greatest 2-year coaching job of all time. Like, I'm not joking. This is the best job I've ever seen a coach do in 2 years in the history of college football. And I know I'm only 19 years old. I can't really speak or actually I'm 20 now, but I can't speak on of all time because I haven't been on this planet long enough. But I am willing to put this 2-year stretch from Indiana up against any 2-year stretch ever, considering the circumstances. Unreal job from Coach Cignetti. It's so cool what he's been able to do. I think the coolest part about this game, in my opinion, maybe not even the coolest part, but just an interesting stat line. Indiana had 118 rushing yards in this game. Ohio State only had 58. And you might be saying, Robert, that's only like a 70-yard difference. I mean, that's not that crazy of a stat. Well, literally all offseason and all regular season, people kept saying, Indiana, man, I feel like they don't really stand up line of scrimmage wise with these top tier Big Ten teams, man. I just feel like they're gonna get bullied. I mean, look what happened last year. And we can look what happened last year when Indiana played Ohio State. Ohio State had 115 rushing yards, Indiana only had 83. Against Notre Dame had 193, Indiana only had 63. Like, Indiana was getting outrushed by top talent teams all of last year. And Curt Cignetti saw that and he said, we're going to get in the lab. We're going to recruit offensive linemen. We're going to run a lot more counter. We're going to get 2 running backs that we know can run the rock. And we're going to run the ball so much better and control games that way. And they just did it against the best defense in college football of maybe the last 50 years. So I'm so utterly impressed with Indiana and what they've been able to do. I mean, it is so impressive when a coaching staff can look at a weakness and just completely exploit it and flip it completely. That is exactly what Curt Cignetti has done against Ohio State, at least in my opinion, in this football game. And Indiana also won this game in the big moments. Like, it's not like Indiana went out and dominated. It was only 13-10. And they both had 17 first downs. Indiana only had 18 more yards of total offense. They both had 1 turnover. But in the big moments, Indiana just won the game. They were 1 for 1 on 4th down. They had that big 4th down conversion. Ohio State, of course, was 0 for 1 on 4th down, failing the quarterback sneak. Ohio State missed a field goal. Elijah Surratt's touchdown in the end zone was just, chef's kiss. It was beautiful. And then Charlie Becker, man. Charlie Becker might be my favorite player in college football. That dude is so cool. I just want to say another thing about this Indiana offense. They trust their guys so much. Like, you can tell Fernando Mendoza and Curt Cignetti have so much trust in their wide receivers. And we've seen this before, whether it was Elijah Surratt in the Oregon game against man coverage, Omar Cooper in the last second against Penn State. Today, it was Surratt in the end zone. I mean, that's how you know that your quarterback and your coach have so much trust in your wide receivers to make plays, is when you're in the red zone and you take your X receiver, you put him in the slot, and you tell him to run a slot fade. Joel Klatt called it perfectly. And just, there's something so beautiful about a quarterback just throwing it up to his guy in one-on-one and just trusting him to win. And that's exactly what Indiana did on that play. And then Charlie Becker makes like 3 or 4 of these catches every single game that he gets these opportunities where he's in man coverage, he's one-on-one. He's a 6'4" white dude, 3-star recruit. No one really believed in him out of high school. I think he's from Nashville. And Mendoza just gives him chances. And I swear Charlie Becker is the best one-on-one playmaker in college football right now in terms of high-pointing footballs and making plays. It is crazy. He just keeps dunking on people. And the guys he's dunking on are like the best corners in the country. Like, I don't understand how Charlie Becker is even real. It is crazy. He is such a GOAT. Another just fascinating stat. This might be the most mind-boggling stat of the entire college football season. Ohio State going into this game, like they played 12 games the whole season against Big Ten competition and against Texas. In all of those 12 games, Ohio State had allowed a combined 6 sacks. Indiana had 5 sacks in this football game alone. Did we watch the Michigan game? Michigan couldn't generate a pressure to save their life. Indiana got home 5 times. And it's not like they just had, Mikael Kamara blitz off the edge every single time and just wreak havoc. They got home by design. Like, the Curt Cignetti design blitzes in this game were one of the reasons that Ohio State couldn't move the ball consistently on offense. Isaiah Jones had 2 sacks, linebacker position. Elijah Hardy had 1 sack from the linebacker position. Everything was coordinated for Indiana. All of it was planned out. The coaching job was so miraculous. And it just goes to show on defense with those 5 sacks. No one has been able to get home to Julian Sand all year long, and Indiana did it 5 times, which is unreal. I thought the Indiana defense was the epitome of a bend, don't break defense. Like, I'm just going to read out some of Ohio State's drives and just sort of look at the drive chart. The only time Ohio State scored a touchdown was on a 25-yard drive after an interception. So it's not like they drove all the way down the field and got a touchdown. That didn't happen all game long. Ohio State had drives of 67 yards, 70 yards, 81 yards and 47 yards and didn't score a touchdown on any of those drives. They had a field goal with the 67-yard drive, a turnover on downs with the 80-yard drive, missed field goal with the 81-yard drive, and the end of the game with the 47-yard drive. Like, literally the epitome of bend, don't break. It was so impressive. And I'm not going to go out here and say that Ohio State, like Indiana, proved that they were head and shoulders better than Ohio State. I don't believe that. I think Ohio State is still a phenomenal team. I think that I don't think it's clear that Indiana is the best team in the country. I'm not going to say that. But they just won the big moments. And that is such a credit to the heart of your team and to your coaching staff. I mean, the things that Indiana wins at are so hard to define, but it's just chalk it up to a winner mentality and just the heart and soul of the football team. I mean, this Indiana team doing what they've done over the last 2 years might be the biggest story in college football and of the 2020s. So I just want to give all hats off to Indiana. They will be the number one team going into the playoffs. They are the Big Ten champions, which is just shocking. And Fernando Mendoza, he gives all glory to God. I love that from him. And Kurt Cignetti, man, the greatest 2-year coaching job of all time, in my humble opinion. So we just tackled that whole game, that whole wildness that happened in Indianapolis. We're going to go down south to the SEC championship game, where Kirby Smart and the Georgia Bulldogs finally took down Alabama. You hear a lot of people talk about euphoria. You know, whether it's someone that has a specific moment of euphoria or a team does something. I want to know the type of euphoria that Kirby Smart felt after winning this game. After he saw the triple digits, the triple zeros on the scoreboard, and he saw that his team had 28 and Alabama had 7, and he had finally beaten Alabama. Because it must have felt so good. And it is so worth it. This Georgia coaching staff is unreal. I think Kirby Smart has proven, definitely with this win, that he is the best coach in college football and that all of his coaching staff has done such an unreal job this season of just improving their team week by week into the juggernaut that they are now. The adjustments that they have made from September to now are crazy. I mean, it really is crazy. And I think the first thing you have to look at to affirm that is Alabama on third down in this game. Alabama on third down in Athens earlier this year. They started 9 for 9, and they ended the game 13 of 19 on third down. Today, in Atlanta, Georgia, Alabama was 3 of 14 on third down. That's all you really need to hear at that point. I'm going to read Alabama's drive chart in this game, and if you have young kids around that are maybe watching this, maybe cover their ears because this is some nasty stuff. This is some nasty football stuff. Alabama's drive chart. They started the game with a 3-and-out, then a punt, then a Ty Simpson interception, then a punt, then a 3-and-out, a 3-and-out, a 3-and-out, and then you guessed it, another 3-and-out, then a touchdown drive, turnover on downs, game over. Georgia forced 4 straight 3-and-outs from Alabama. And Alabama did not score on their first drive, second drive, third drive, fourth drive, fifth drive, sixth drive, seventh drive, or eighth drive of the game. Georgia's coaching staff ran absolute circles over Alabama, which must feel so good for Georgia fans because they have watched the last 7 years Alabama's coaching staff run circles around Georgia's coaching staff. And yet, Georgia was able to improve so much of their game plan from September to now. I mean, it is nuts. I remember watching the game in September, and Georgia would be rotating into cover 2 from a one-high look. They would be playing press man coverage on third down and short. Whatever they tried to do, Alabama and Ty Simpson just had the answer. I mean, their coaching staff dominated that game. Ryan Grubb was in his bag, came on the board. You could tell they game planned so much for that game, and they made it work. And Georgia at times just had to tip their cap because Alabama did such a great job. But in this game, especially Georgia defensively, whatever Alabama tried to do, Georgia had the answer. Like, their coaching staff dominated. And I think that that's the main reason that they won this game. Their secondary was locked down, absolutely locked down. I feel like in the first half of the game in Athens, Georgia played a lot of cover 3, a lot of cover 2, a lot of zone looks, and Alabama just picked them apart. Because, again, their offensive coaching staff game planned so well. But then in the second half, Georgia started to run man coverage. They started to get tighter. They started to really press those receivers. And Alabama didn't score at all in the second half of that football game. And Georgia came out today in the SEC championship game. They weren't messing around with zone coverage, at least not very often. They just played man coverage. They said, you know what, our guys are better than yours. We're gonna cover them, and we're not gonna let you get open. And if Ty Simpson wants to beat us, he's gonna have to make perfect throws in man coverage in really, really tight windows. And it didn't happen. So Georgia identified the problem, they practiced for it, and they fixed it, and then dominated. So big time shout out to the Georgia secondary. It was phenomenal. And I mean, Alabama being 3 of 14 on third down meant that they had the ball like never in this football game. Georgia had it for 36 minutes. Alabama had it for 23 minutes. That's a 16-minute difference in time of possession. Actually, that's not true. That's a 13-minute difference in time of possession, as my math department just let me know. And when you have a defense that is on the field for 36 minutes and they're just never on the bench, they're going to be gassed. And when a defense is gassed, it's really hard for them to drum up the effort to get a pass rush, to stay sticky on man coverage, and especially when the quarterback scrambles, to stay sticky in zone coverage. And Georgia kept Alabama's offense, or their defense, on the field and then wore them out and won the game. So this defense, to me, this Georgia defense, so impressive what they were able to do. If I'm a Georgia fan, I would be over the moon proud of my coaching staff for prepping all year for this game and dominating and really emphatically proving why they're the best coaching staff in the country. I thought offensively, to me, Georgia is still not elite. I thought at times I watched Gunnar Stockton and I said, you know what, he does look a little spooked out there. I think that there are very much so two types of Gunnar Stockton. There's the Gunnar Stockton that we see that plays with no fear, that just rips dig routes, that rips sail routes, that is confident in his footwork, confident in his reads, and confident for what Mike Bobo wants to do with him. I did not see that Gunnar Stockton today. I saw the Gunnar Stockton that played against Alabama and Athens. I saw the Gunnar Stockton that took on Georgia Tech in Atlanta a week ago. The Gunnar Stockton I saw was timid. He only had like 160, or I think it was only like 160-ish yards passing. He wasn't pushing the ball down the field. He wasn't making Gunnar Stockton-esque throws. But it didn't matter because Georgia's defense played so well. And that happened last week too. I will say the thing about Georgia's offense that is so incredible is two things. Their screen game, which might be the best screen game in the country because they have Zachariah Branch. That dude is a freak. And because Mike Bobo just put on yet another absolute masterclass. I mean, Georgia loves to run the swing screens, just the outside screens, because Zachariah Branch is so hard to tackle. Like, he is impossible to tackle one-on-one in open space. You just cannot do it. And because of that, Alabama had to commit so many players up to stop the screen pass that Georgia could do more down the field. And I think that's just all credit to Mike Bobo and Zachariah Branch being phenomenal. If you want to watch good football players, by the way, I just wrote this on my notes, watch Lawson Lucky and Oscar Dell play football. They're the two tight ends on Georgia. They are so good. Like, them blocking is a beautiful sight. Like, if you are a football fan and you just want to watch good football, watch Lawson Lucky and Oscar Dell just run block. It is so beautiful. They're like the two unsung heroes of this conference. Like, Oscar Delp and Lawson Lucky are both so good. So for Georgia, I think that they are one of the 4 teams, in my opinion, that has a realistic chance to win a national championship. I think that they can beat anybody on any given day. I think that they will get more and more healthy leading up to the playoffs. And I think if Gunnar Stockton is playing in true Gunnar Stockton form, and this defense is doing what they do, then yes, Georgia can beat anybody on any given day. They're a phenomenal football team. They'll get a first-round bye, and their coaching staff has done such a great job fixing all of their problems and getting themselves right at the best time possible. With Alabama, I think that, first of all, Alabama is very wounded right now. I think the Crimson Tide are very banged up. In my opinion, the 2 best offensive players on this football team are Ty Simpson and Parker Brailsford, and both, I think, are not even close to 100%. I mean, like, Parker Brailsford, what he does for this offense is unreal. His first step is electric. The only times Alabama has successful run games is because Parker Brailsford is just clearing the way. He is really good. I think he might be the best center in college football. And Ty Simpson, I mean, I'm just going to say this in support of Ty Simpson. You're going to hear a lot of Ty Simpson haters out here, and rightfully so. He did not have a good football game. He was like 19 of 39, had the interception, was off timing just like all night long. But Ty Simpson, to me, has proven that him playing at his peak is the best quarterback in college football. I mean, did we not watch Ty Simpson when he went into Athens and just carved up that defense? I mean, the Ty Simpson that is the best draft prospect in this class exists somewhere within the ugliness that we saw today. I just think he needs time to game plan and time to get healthy, and he will revert back to that form. I believe that. That being said, everything that happened today for Alabama's offense did not surprise me. The absolute crumbling, I don't want to say I saw it coming, but it made sense. I mean, we have seen Ty Simpson play rattled at least the last 4 weeks. It only made sense that it kind of came back to bite him here. Alabama's wide receivers, I think a lot of teams have had a lot of success running man coverage against Alabama. I don't think Alabama's receivers are all that great at creating separation. Missouri did it successfully. Georgia did it really well in the second half. LSU ran a lot of man coverage and clamped. Tennessee did for a little bit. Oklahoma certainly did. And, I mean, Alabama, when you play man coverage against these receivers, they don't consistently win. That's why Auburn blitzed every play of the second half, is because they said Alabama's receivers aren't good enough to beat us. And once again, in my opinion, that was the case. I feel like no one is saying that. Like, everyone's saying, oh, these Alabama receivers are so elite. I haven't seen that from this unit this year. I think that's one of their main problems. Of course, they couldn't run the ball in this game. They had -3 rushing yards. Of course, a lot of that was because Ty Simpson got sacked a couple of times. But it's not like Alabama ran the ball way worse in this game than they did against Georgia the first time they played them. I mean, yeah, they ran the ball more, but neither Kevin Riley nor Jay Miller had a carry for like over 7 yards. So it's not like they were explosively running the football, and that's why they beat Georgia, and then Georgia stopped the run, and that's why their offense didn't work. To me, their offense didn't work because they didn't game plan well enough for this game, and Georgia's coaching staff just ran circles around him, and Ty Simpson is banged up. That's why the offense didn't work in this game, in my opinion. I do have a rant about Alabama. Kalen DeBoer is just in his second season. I don't think that Kalen DeBoer has all of the personnel that he wants to. Like, I don't think that there's still a lot of Saban guys that are around, and Kalen DeBoer wants to run his team and run his offense in a very specific way. I think that's very obvious. And I think Alabama not having the exact personnel that fits that system is really holding them back. I think that's very true at the running back position, at the offensive line position, at the receiver position. I think that makes a lot of sense. And I think that Alabama being 10-2 right now and having a chance to make the playoffs and going to the SEC championship is a great testament to how good of a coaching job Kalen DeBoer has done this year at Alabama. I do believe that. I think in a couple years when DeBoer gets all the guys that he wants, I think this Alabama offense will look so much more fluid than it does right now. I thought Alabama's defense played a really good game. I mean, I know that's kind of shocking to say, but Georgia only ran the ball for 3.4 yards per carry. They didn't have any explosive runs. They really didn't have anything explosive down the field at all. Alabama's secondary continued to play great. They just got hit with a lot of dink and dunk stuff and a lot of short fields. So, yet again, I think Alabama played a really good game defensively. It's just the offense couldn't do anything. 4 3-and-outs in a row. Like, you really expect the defense to hold a team to less than 7 points. Like, that just doesn't happen. I'll talk more about whether or not Alabama should be in the playoffs in a little bit when I talk about the whole playoff segment. We'll get there. Shout out to Texas Tech for taking out BYU 34-7. This is the third time ever in the history of college football that a team has had 12 wins by 20-plus points. And it wasn't Georgia, it wasn't Ohio State, it wasn't Alabama, it was Texas Tech. So this has been a great season for Joey McGuire. They invested so much into this team, and they have gotten the payoff for sure. They are 12-1, they are headed to the college football playoffs, and they are receiving a first-round bye. And the amount of people that thought that was going to happen for Texas Tech this year, not very high. So great job by the Red Raiders for having a great season. To me, the standout statistic of this game was the turnover ratio. Texas Tech did not turn the ball over at all. BYU turned it over 4 times. When you do that, you're going to win the football game. This Texas Tech defense is so for real. It is really, really good. They run a lot of 3-4, a lot of 4-3. They play a lot of cover 3 out of that. You can't beat them down the field. You can't run the ball against them. I mean, BYU has been running the ball against everyone all season. They had 63 rushing yards today. And those Texas Tech linebackers are so, so good. You cannot run the ball consistently against this Texas Tech defense, and they force turnovers. So there really isn't a weakness on this Texas Tech defense, in my opinion. Ben Roberts and Jacob Rodriguez are just ball players. They are freaking ball players, and they are fantastic. I mean, whether it's dropping into hook curls, supporting in the run game, whatever it is, Ben Roberts and Jacob Rodriguez it's like the best linebacker duo in the country. Those guys are so good. I thought the running backs and just the skill position players overall for Texas Tech are elite. Jacoby Williams and Cameron Dickey break so many tackles. It is so hard to get them on the ground. Whoever their tight end's name is, I can never remember that dude's name, number 7, I think it's Terrence Carter. That guy is unreal too. He's just a freak athlete. My opinion on Texas Tech, I think they're a great football team. I think their defense is phenomenal. I think their skill position players are elite. But that being said, I still don't trust them to win a national championship because of Baron Morton. I don't think Baron Morton is an elite quarterback. I have not seen him play at a consistently high level all season long. I think he's very turnover prone. I know he's healthy now, but even then he makes a lot of bad reads. I think Texas Tech can compete with some of the teams that are going to be in the playoff, but I don't think they're going to win a national championship because of Baron Morton's inconsistency. But still, this is one of the greatest seasons in Texas Tech Red Raider football history. Those fans deserve it. They're phenomenal. And it's a happy time in Lubbock. Duke beat Virginia today, knocking the Cavaliers out of the playoffs. And a 7-5 Duke team is the ACC champions. I mean, that is just such debauchery. How on earth do we let this happen? The ACC it is tragic. This is not a good thing for the ACC. I mean, Duke lost to UConn. Not UConn's basketball team, UConn's football team. They got dominated by Illinois. I think they lost to Tulane, but they might have won that game. I don't really remember right now. It's very late. But Duke, literally, I don't think won a game out of conference and won the ACC. It's pretty embarrassing. Like, this is a pretty embarrassing result for the ACC. But it opens up the door for James Madison and Tulane to make the playoffs. And with that, I think it's hilarious how many things are happening this college football season, and that also happened last season, that we had no idea were possible going into this thing. I mean, we thought it would make so much sense to give the 4 highest rated conference champions a bye because the SEC, ACC, Big 12, and Big 10 would just get the byes, and it would be easy, and it would make sense. And then Boise State happened, and they got the bye. And Arizona State got the bye as the 12 team. And so we scratched all that, and we said, okay, we're gonna keep it the way it is. This makes a lot of sense. We got one group of 5 team, SEC tournament, or the SEC championship game, both teams will get in. This all makes a lot of sense. And this year, we are looking at Tulane and James Madison getting into the playoffs. No one in their wildest imaginations thought that the Sun Belt champion would be ranked higher than the ACC champion and would get the 4th or the 5th spot for the conference champion. Like, no one in their wildest imaginations dreamed that would be possible, and yet it's happened this year. And then the Alabama situation. There is an argument to be had. I'm going to give my opinion on it in a moment. But there is a scenario, there is a world where the SEC regular season champion, the team that finished at the top of the standings in the SEC after the regular season, would make it to the SEC championship, lose, and miss the playoffs. If you told the SEC that were possible, and if you told the SEC that team would be Alabama, they would absolutely lose their minds. And if it happens, I'm going to talk more about it when it happens in a second. So, here's what I think the playoffs is going to be. Of course, the selection show is in approximately 11 hours, I believe. So, this is my quick preview. Number 1 will obviously be Indiana. I mean, that's just what's going to happen. Number 2 should be Georgia. Number 3 should be Ohio State. 4 should be Texas Tech. Those should be the 4 teams getting byes. If it's any of those 4 teams, I will be utterly shocked. And then I don't think a lot of these other rankings are going to change. From 5 to 8, it'll be Oregon, Ole Miss, Texas A&M, and Oklahoma. I think that much is obvious. And then Tulane will be 11, and James Madison will be 12. So that leaves 2 spots for Alabama, Miami, and Notre Dame. In my personal opinion, I think Vandy should be in over all these teams except for Alabama, but I'm not allowed to say that, and the committee has very clearly made that so. So unfortunately, no, Vanderbilt will not be in the playoffs, which I think is a travesty, but since we've accepted the fact that they're not going to be in it, I won't talk about them. But anyway, it comes down to Alabama, Miami, and Notre Dame. Here's my opinion. First of all, how on God's green earth, are we going to put Notre Dame in the playoffs over Miami? I don't understand it. It doesn't make any sense. I mean, you might say to yourself, well, Robert, Notre Dame has just been better recently. They've been blowing out teams, man. They just look good. I mean, it's tough to say, man. That Notre Dame logo, it's so pretty, man. Those uniforms are just beautiful. I don't know what to say. They've been winning good games. And Miami, man, I don't know. They don't look too good. I don't know. I think Notre Dame might be a better team than Miami. That's what people are saying. What did the whole college football world just have a stroke? Miami beat Notre Dame head to head. I don't care if you think Notre Dame's better. I think Notre Dame is a better team than Miami. Notre Dame lost. Notre Dame, if you want to be in the playoffs over Miami and you're both, you should have beaten Miami. If they put Notre Dame in over Miami, I will lose my mind. I don't understand how that is possible. If the resumes are even close at all, then you go with the head-to-head result. We've done that in college football for forever, for as long as it's existed. I mean, this is why we play the games on the field. You can pull up as many numbers as you want, as many box scores as you want. You can pull up as many strength of record, strength of resume, all these metrics of game control and all this. It doesn't matter. We played the game on the field, and Miami won the game. Miami should be in over Notre Dame. To me, it is the most obvious thing ever. So yes, I would have Miami in the playoff. So to me, it comes down to Alabama or Notre Dame. And when I look at Alabama and Notre Dame, I think 100% Notre Dame is the better team. I 100% believe that. But that is completely subjective. Whether or not I think Notre Dame or Alabama is the better team, in my opinion, has nothing to do with who deserves to be in the playoffs. Because I think that you can think all you want about college football. I mean, I thought last year Ohio State lost to Michigan. I said that team is not good. That team is not going to win the national championship. They are struggling offensively right now. They don't pass the eye test, and I'm picking them to lose to Tennessee. And guess what? They won a national championship. I looked at Alabama's team when they played against Florida State earlier this year, and I said that defense is trash. They can't move the ball. They can't run the ball. Ain't no way that team's going to beat Georgia on the road. They beat them because things in college football happen that we don't expect. So eye test, in my opinion, should never be part of the conversation. So let's look at their resumes. Notre Dame lost their two biggest games to Miami and Texas A&M, and their best win all year is USC. Alabama has won at Georgia. Alabama has won against Vanderbilt. They've won at Missouri. They've won against Tennessee. I don't understand how on God's green earth you can say that Notre Dame's resume is better than Alabama's. Alabama's wins are so much more quality, and I think they should be put in over Notre Dame. So, in my opinion, Miami should be number 9, and Alabama should be number 10. And Notre Dame should not be in the playoffs. That's just my opinion. You know what I think is going to happen? I think they're going to put Notre Dame at number 9 because they have a cool, shiny logo, and they're going to put Alabama at number 10, and Miami's going to miss the playoffs, and the whole ACC is going to be left out. And I think it's ridiculous, at least me personally. And you might say to yourself, well, Robert, how can you put Bama underneath Miami? I mean, Alabama's obviously the better team, and look at who Miami's lost to. They lost to SMU and Louisville. How is Alabama under Miami? Well, I think it's really funny how a lot of Alabama fans and a lot of SEC fans say, man, if only Alabama played Miami's schedule, if only they played Duke's schedule, if only they were in the ACC, it would be such a cupcake schedule. They would win it all, and it would be so easy. Well, you know what? Alabama played an ACC team this year. They played them in week 1 and got whooped. Lost 31-17. Alabama and Miami, they have one common opponent. They both played Florida State. They both played them on the road. They both played them early in the season. Miami handled business. Alabama got spanked. So, I don't know how you can say that. I don't understand where that comes from. So, my final rankings. This is what I would have them if we're just assuming Vanderbilt's not going to make it. But this is what my opinion should be. I think I would have Indiana, Georgia, Ohio State, and Texas Tech getting byes. I would have Oregon, Ole Miss, Texas A&M, and Oklahoma hosting games. And I would have I would have Miami, Alabama, Tulane, and James Madison. So I would have Tulane at Ole Miss, James Madison at Oregon, Alabama at Texas A&M, and Miami at Oklahoma. And I would have Notre Dame missing the playoffs. Vandy should be in, but they're not going to be because for whatever reason, the College Football Playoff Committee just despises Vanderbilt. It's probably because they don't have a cool, shiny logo that has an ND and has gold in it. Because that's a pretty cool, shiny logo, I have to say. But thanks so much for watching, folks. That's all I have for the college football instant reactions conference championship thing. But if you take one thing away from this video, it is not that Alabama should be in, or Miami should be in, or Notre Dame shouldn't, or that Indiana is just a blessing from God. But it is that our Lord and Savior is Jesus Christ. And we are not put on this planet to judge each other. whether it's about our college football takes or our political takes or our opinions on whatever it may be. We are not made to judge. We are made to love. And once we realize that happiness and love are so intertwined and that they both come from God, that's how we start to love each other better on this planet. And if we all could just realize that being fulfilled and being happy and it all lies within God's love. Like, we don't need anything on this planet other than our relationship with God. And that's all I can say. And if you don't believe me, read Romans chapter 14. I've just read that tonight. It's phenomenal. But again, thanks so much for watching, folks. I hope you have a great Selection Sunday. If you're a fan of Notre Dame or Miami or Alabama, you're definitely going to be biting your fingernails. But it should be entertaining. I'll say that. And I hope you have a great night, a great week. Thanks so much for watching. God bless. And I'll see y'all later.